Boom. Okay, now we're live. Let me know, guys. I've had a little bit of trouble here. I'm not sure if it's actually back delayed or not. We'll figure it out eventually. YouTube's updated its studio side of things here, so I want to make sure that I've got this figured out, because we're going to go live on a frequent basis now that we are set up here in the jungle and that our internet is super fast. So if you guys can smash those thumbs up, leave us the comments, let us know that everything is going smoothly. Yeah, I can see it going and playing on this side now too. Okay, cool. I didn't realize that they had switched these things up. I do see that I'm live now. Okay, so again, I had been talking for about 10 minutes here underneath but I didn't press live on YouTube, so you guys will have to give me a second to retouch base here. We're looking at a descending triangle on a Bitcoin on the 45-minute and the 4-hour, but we're also noticing the change in our technical analysis and leaning a bit more into fundamentals. Once you have something like COVID-19 hit once you have it hit the market sentiments, you need to start relying on fundamentals as well as technical analysis. When the markets are moving freely, it's a lot easier to use technical analysis. But at this point in time, I think it's very important to stay up to date with the news coming in from COVID-19, because that is also going to lead into market sentiments. I'm going to keep today's video somewhat short, and we're going to basically look at the descending triangle. Now that we know COVID-19 from things like the New England Journal of Medicine, the Journal of American Medical Association is all giving this around a 2% and higher death rate. This is between 20 and 50 times more fatal than the average seasonal flu. So if you're listening to politicians say, oh, this is no worse than the flu, you need to turn that garbage off and start listening to doctors. As you can tell, I'm a little sick, and now that I know I have a rhinovirus because I've been doing my research, I can stay fairly confident about what type of sickness I have. So I do apologize for the raspy voice. I should be singing in like a dark, dingy blues band right now. But aside from that, we're going to dive right in. So I'll give you guys the logo here, and we're going to jump right in. Boom. Okay, so here we are on the 45-minute chart with Bitcoin right now. And again, the important part here is to understand that there is a shift in sentiment when we start to look at the relationship between normal technical analysis, then followed by fundamental analysis. And fundamental analysis here is going to become more and more important, because we're looking at the reactions of people's sentiments based off this new potential pandemic. This leaves us a potential huge opportunity to make a lot of money off of these changes. Now, I took 2 weeks off to go dancing and play in the jungle, and we missed what would have already been a huge short in Bitcoin from the $10,500 area down to around 8,400. So my next videos are also going to include how to use leveraged or margin trades to essentially protect, at the very least, the assets that you already have in your crypto portfolio. Using these shorts and leveraged trades when we know the market might be going down due to this rough news can act almost like an option call or put, on the markets in general. We don't have a volatility index like the VIX for the S&P 500, which is what we went over yesterday. So watching this now, what we can see is this beautiful descending triangle. Now, descending triangles here, we're going to take a look at Investopedia. They always have great information. And again, I apologize for my raspy voice right now. I sound like I'm from a whole different human right now. So I'm going to read these, and again, I'll keep the video short today, but I just want to make sure everyone is aware of the ways you can not just take advantage and potentially make profit during these downtimes, but to, at the very least, hedge your bets and hold a short in a leverage relationship to your total portfolio, so that whatever goes down, you still are making at least the difference of what you are losing. Now, that's a very important sentiment to offset the risk, and most often people do this. They will hold, in the VIX when the markets are really high, because it acts like insurance, and that's what we're going to do now. So what is a descending triangle? A descending triangle is a bearish chart pattern used in technical analysis that is created by drawing one trend line that connects a series of lower highs and the second horizontal trend line in a series of lows. And that's what you can see has happened here in Bitcoin now. Even in the 4 hour, it is noticeable, although it is much more significantly verifiable on the 45 minute. I don't usually like to chart on these lower time frames, but because I was gone, I'm looking for basically an entry to hedge my portfolio. That way I don't end up just losing a bunch, because we could be in a downtrend for quite some time, entirely dependent on the news that comes out from these markets moving forward. So I do believe that we're probably going to touch the top of this one more time. Now, descending triangles are not always a bearish breakdown. So if we go in here and look at some of these takeaways, okay, a descending triangle is a signal for traders to take a short position to accelerate a breakdown. And we do see, basically, if we roll out here to the 4 hour, it gives us a little bit of a clearer picture of some of the support on the VPR down here around 8,300, 82.85. So I do suspect we'll start to fill this gap between 8,200 and 8,300, which was just a slight bit more downside. In the long term, we would see a bounce, I suspect. China's been turning some of its shops back on, although the videos that I see running in the background are just China's shops on with no real market activity. And again, that's an important sentiment to understand, is that they want their economies to run, because an economic collapse here could be potentially more devastating than the virus itself on people's lives and livelihood. And that is extremely important to understand, that the balancing act that the governments and these private institutions are going to have to take to maintain some type of normalcy is going to appear counterintuitive. And that's important to understand. When there's something that's taking place that is counterintuitive, you're not looking at the direct information. You need to understand the direct information is likely going the opposite way. So even though the factories in China are starting to open back up again, there may not be any production going on. They're using that to basically prop the markets up, because a full-on collapse here could be just as, if not more, devastating than that of the virus. But again, what we're trying to do is prosper and thrive through these economic downturns. Now, again, the other day when we went out for the festival, for anyone that was in the private bear den, we do offer a private newsletter for traders. I mentioned taking a short to around 8,600 was probably a really smart idea. That would have equated to a 17% gain, even if you just went back to USDT, let alone take out like a 5 to 20 times leverage trade to hedge your bets. And that's extremely important. Again, remember, when you want to use these trades as an insurance to keep your portfolio value up, it's not about making money. It's about keeping your portfolio value the same. What is a 100% position change in the last 15 days alone? So I will make some videos about how to do that, how to use Binance's margin futures trading, BitMEX, Bitfinex, these other ones as well, to at the very least, again, hedge your assets so that you're not in a constant decline if we do start to slip into a market recession. I was very hopeful that we would see this bull run breakout out of the bull flag that we had been watching all the way back since July. But now that we've had a black swan land, it's not imperative to bet on technical analysis anymore. You need to start paying attention to the underlying fundamentals. Otherwise, you will miss the boat on this one. Anyways, I'm going to answer a few questions just after I take a look at the rest of the descending triangle here. So obviously, what does a descending triangle tell you? This is all from Investopedia. We do have some of this on Arcane Bear, and I will try to make a post on this later this week, just so we have more information for all of our free members, but also for all of our paying members. Seeing these patterns, being able to take advantage of them midway through a downtrend is important as well. So I'm keeping a close eye on these because, again, it's important to be able to hedge your bets so you don't lose all of your portfolio value. Okay, so descending triangles are a very popular chart pattern among traders because it clearly shows the demand for an asset, derivative, or commodity is weakening. When the price breaks below the support line, it is a clear indication that the downside momentum is likely to continue or become even stronger. Descending triangles are technical traders' opportunities to make substantial profits over a brief period of time. Descending triangles can form a reversal pattern to uptrend, but they're generally seen as a bearish continuation pattern. Again, that does fit all of the opportunity that we're looking at, that this is already in a downtrend. It was a continuation pattern of a bear movement as well. And again, we see this horizontal support line with lower highs each time. So it's clearly filling the the characteristics. And as you can see right along the bottom of this horizontal line is where we have all the support, not just on the VPR, but here on the volume wicks as well. We've bounced right back up on the 45 minute. So it's not until we go out on the daily again that we see the volume profile support giving us, oh, it's a little clearer on the 45 minute if I zoom out, I guess. So I'll do that instead. Okay. I apologize for the raspy voice and stuffy nose, ladies and gentlemen. Just be grateful it's not something crazy. So again, we have this big gap here around 8,200 to 8,100. I do suspect we'll probably break down to 8,300, consolidate here for another moment, and retest the 8,100 mark. We'll likely see a bounce back up there, depending on what happens in the news and the S&P 500 on this coming Monday. Now, again, one of the ways we can do that is also look at the market sentiments coming out of China. Can someone remind me the name of the Nikkei? Is that what it is? The Nikkei? Okay. Yeah, here we go. So we just opened up at a significant, we just opened up at a loss on Monday morning here for the Nikkei 25, which is, again, the Nikkei 25 or Nike index. I don't know how to pronounce this, so I apologize, is the index for the Tokyo Stock Exchange. Again, so what we're looking at here is the Japanese markets as well. So it gives us a type of indexed understanding of what the markets are going to do Monday morning come the S&P 500 and the Dow. And normally I would not suspect the Bitcoins are related, but because it is an asset nonetheless, I do believe they will become correlated and therefore turn down negative. So this is why I want to go over this stuff, because now it's imperative. I'm going to leave it at that. The last thing, again, I'm going to look at is just more of this descending triangle. So here is when most traders look to initiate a short position following high volume breakdowns from the lower trend line support of the triangle chart pattern. And in general, the price target for the chart pattern is equal to the price entry minus the vertical height between the two trend lines at the time of the breakdown. Again, that does also fit our VPR as well. Do not trade leverage if you guys don't know what you're doing. You can make mistakes. If you do want to try, make sure you're making very small trades to begin with so you don't accidentally make mistakes. You can liquidate your trading account making those mistakes, and they can become very costly. So if you don't know them, make sure you're going through all your research to do so first. I will ask questions. Smash those thumbs up. Sign up for a private trading group if you would like to. And hopefully tomorrow my voice sounds better. But either way, no matter what, I'm going to come online and I'm going to talk with you guys on a daily basis, even if it hurts me to do so. So thank you for bearing with me through this crazy throat pain today. I'm going to give you guys my face back, and I'm going to answer a few of your questions, and we'll go from there. Okay. Thank you guys. I'm just going to scroll back here and take a look. So many great comments I can see already. Do you have chaga tea? I did order some, although I'm not sure if it will arrive on time or not. Campro says, you traders have no allegiance to Bitcoin. Sad to see its futures in the hand of thieves. I like people like this because they don't have a goddamn clue about what they're talking about. Sorry, KPM, you have no idea what you're talking about. See, they don't understand that the reason of holding an asset is actually to acquire more of the things that you would want in life and maintain a richness in the value of the portfolio you have. So if you don't hedge your bets with shorts, you're really just screwing yourself over, KPM Moresco. So I feel sad for you there, and I wish you the best in the future to understand the differences here. Bitcoin has no allegiance. It is technology. If you think you have an allegiance to technology, your brain is scattered, and I apologize for that. Roadstar 499 says, does anyone even know what the symptoms are? No one even mentions them. Yes, you know what? You know what's really funny about this? I'm going to share a screen with you guys, and it bothers me as well. It's that the mainstream media is giving nobody information that is valuable. You can go to the New England Journal of Medicine and you can study the coronavirus in detail. It is a lower respiratory virus. You generally do not have a sinus or sore throat problems. Those are signs of a rhinovirus, which is the common cold, again, which is very normal. Again, what we are looking at here is a lower respiratory illness and a high fever. High fever is also part of the flu in general, so that's where it becomes confusing. The common cold, on the other hand, is usually a sore throat and a bunch of mucus. Very, very easy to find these things out. For anyone that wants to know more, you can go to nejm.org/coronavirus to learn more about the symptoms. I just listened to the February 24th New England Journal of Medicine podcast here. It was absolutely amazing. I don't suggest you listen to politicians. Fuck Bloomberg. Fuck the Financial Times. They're giving nobody anything useful. They're useless pieces of data that have nothing valuable in them whatsoever. If you want to find something valuable out, you do have to go to like the JAMA Network, which is the Journal of American Medical Association. You can find out so much about this virus, the disease, its onset, its case fatality rate, the intensive care unit, the people that end up in the intensive care unit, and again, the symptoms. And the symptoms of COVID-19 are a lower respiratory problems with high fever, malaise, not a bunch of mucus. Again, a very, very different type of respiratory virus. And you can study all these things at the New England Journal of Medicine, as well as these other peer-reviewed literature pieces that give you a lot more valuable information. So if you have not yet, I would just totally fucking ignore I can't believe how stupid Donald Trump looks in these situations, waving his hand, saying these things are hoaxes. It's a fucking disastrous time when our talking heads have no fucking clue what they're talking about. It is upsetting to me because here I feel that if you were to just give people the proper information, we would have a much better long-term outcome. Whereas when you give people crap data like Bloomberg has done, which is total bullshit, nothing useful, you're going to scare people because they know they can no longer trust you. And that is, these are hard times because we need to realize that this is going to be difficult. And we are at the point now where this is most likely early stages of a global pandemic that we might have to deal with for fucking years to come. It's important to understand. And if you're like me, researching these things is just for fun because it's exciting to learn and grow. And I know that one day I will fucking die anyways, so who cares? Might as well make it exciting and learn as much as we can along the way. Again, the symptoms are very clearly explained on both the New England Journal of Medicine and the Journal of American Medical Association. They've got great podcasts, and if you like reading scientific literature, these are great places to do so. So I give you guys my face back one more time here. I should probably figure out how to do this a little more smoothly as we go, but I'll dive in, take a look at a few more of your questions. Okay, and I apologize. I'm a little because I'm under the weather, I'm fiery now. I'm swearing so much right now. It's crazy. Two I hear are of a sudden fever and dry cough. I imagine there are more. Yeah, that's very possible as well. Again, it's highly patient dependent. We do know around 70% of the patients have no symptoms. They run around asymptomatic. And that's important to remember too. They may not get sick at all. The Lone Wolf says, I heard coronavirus is a bioweapon against Asians, mainly Chinese. If you're not Asian, it will not kill you unless you've got pre-existing health issues and ruin your immune system. That is not true. We definitely know that it affects men more than women, but this could be because of the smoking polymerase chain reaction that you get from the HIV spike proteins. I know that sounds like a bunch of fucking mumbo jumbo, but I swear to God, it makes sense if you read the literature. So no, it does not focus on Asians or Chinese people only. We can see that very clearly when we go to the rest of the outbreak numbers here. And you know what, just for shits and giggles, I might as well leave this all open. I almost need a second screen so we can go through this. But I'll show you guys where we're sitting at today. I guess the whole last part of this conversation is going to be around COVID-19, which is fair. That's the fundamental change in our spectrum right now. So here you have, for instance, let's take Italy, right? Italy is not full of Chinese people yet. You have a 2.6% death rate, which is identical to the death rates that we're seeing in most of the other places around the world. Hong Kong 2.1, US 1.41%, 1.4%. So again, these numbers are identical across the board. See, I think it's crazy that they're category. Sorry, I didn't mean to drop into this, but here you can look at the Pandemic Severity Index on Wikipedia, or known as the PSI, as a proposed classification and scale for reporting the severity of influenza pandemics in the United States alone. And when we look here, what's crazy is that they say that we are already in a category 5, which is anything above 2%, and anything above 2%. And again, this is where shit starts to get crazy, because the CDC from the United States says, oh, you shouldn't wear masks. No, we don't need to stop going out and doing things. The CDC says this to do that on their fucking website. So here you have peer-reviewed literature that's been around for years where they say, yeah, you should be doing these things. And then they come out on the news and say, no, you shouldn't. Someone's fucking lying, and it's probably the mainstream talking box. So again, the PSI was developed by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention as a pandemic influenza planning tool for use by the states, communities, businesses, and schools to drive and provide specific community-level prevention measures. Again, the guidelines here, the reports recommend social distancing for anything above a series 3, right? Isolation and treatment for people with suspected confirmed cases, voluntary home quarantine, dismissing schools, classes, daycare centers, changing work schedules, and canceling large public gatherings. They also go on to say that generally using masks is a great way to go because it stops you from potentially infecting other people. We know this little bitch of a motherfucker is asymptomatic in transmission, so you might get sick and not even know. Again, the fact that you see such a large disconnect between the information that the CDC has been putting out for over a decade versus the dumb fucks that are speaking on the press releases of the United States television is astounding to me. The fact that they've muzzled Anthony Fauci, which is a great speaker. Again, if you guys, I really suggest doing some deep dive research into this. And just remember, I don't do this because it's scary. I do this because I find it largely entertaining. So here we see my YouTube channel, right? The JAMA Network. JAMA Network, which is a Journal of American Medical Association. Excuse the gross pictures. But you can find some of Anthony Fauci's talks here with the Journal of Medical Association. Where was it? Right back here. In the summary of 2019 as well, and back in the 2019 update. These are fantastic talks with Anthony Fauci. He is a brilliant, brilliant man. I think it's important to understand that when you're looking at this data, if you're listening to the politicians, they're fucking lying. This is way worse than the flu, and the consequences on our society could leave us in peril. The supply chain is weak, and we can break it under fear, and that's why they're telling everyone not to panic. Not because we should not panic, but because they know if we panic ahead of the virus getting here, we may actually break the supply chain before anything bad actually happens. And it is such a precarious balancing game that they are playing. But I tell you, you need to start researching and preparing yourself, because this is not to be fucked around with. People like me, my age category, we're probably going to be fine, right? I might get a difficult sickness, right? We could look at the death statistics. There's another great one here. I didn't realize we were going to go off so long into the COVID-19. I guess we're just going to keep having to go over these fundamentals for a long time. World meter COVID-19. Some great information out there about. Here we go. We have the case fatality rate by age, and everyone under the age of 50 is that their case fatality rate is less than 1%, but it's when you go to the 50 to 80-year-old range that the case fatality rate starts to increase dramatically. And again, the important part to understand is that a lot of people that are between the ages of 50 and 80 hold important positions, not just the jobs that they do, but the information that they have in their brain through their experience in life is valuable. And if we lose them, it will be dramatic for all of us, because we will lose the peers and the mentors that have helped keep our society together, at least in some shape or form. Okay, I'm gonna leave it at that. My throat's a little hoarse. Obviously, I'm gonna keep going through your guys' questions because you guys keep popping them up there, and hopefully I can figure out how to do this smoothly by just pressing buttons without having to flip back and forth. So I apologize for this. Many traders trade altcoins against BTC value. That's a good way to do it too. Yeah. I've heard that. Yeah. I see Lone Wolf. I definitely have to disagree here. It does not target mostly Asian genetics. We can see that from the data numbers outside of Asia already. You've had the flu many times, but I actually doubt it. Often people think they have the flu and they haven't. I've had the flu once or twice and it fucks you up. Like seriously, you're in bed for 2-3 weeks, like severity. So unless you've been fucked up, you haven't had the flu. You'll know. You maybe only catch it like a few times in life. The R naught of the flu is only 1.28. It's actually not super often that you get it. It's not even necessarily considered a pandemic all of the time, although we have had it, and we've also had it as a herd immunity in our species for a very, very long time. No sense in comparing the flu with this in any way, shape, or form. And again, I apologize to everyone. I am raspy, and I'm a little fiery right now, so if I sound mean or aggressive, it's only because I'm like half in a state of like I'm in a half a state of like a little bit of pain. So I would disagree. It's nothing like the flu. I'm 60 and I must have had a very good immune system. I've never been sick for more than one day over the last few years. A lot of the times here, we're also dealing with the fact that maybe you haven't traveled. You've been in your one little area. There's never been a pandemic there. You've had a cold, but the flu, I tell you, it is noticeable. I've traveled around the world, and when you get the flu, if your circumstances, Roadstar, of where you've traveled to over those 20 years, or if you've stayed relatively local as well. Great mentioning fundamentals. Chaotic Crypto says, I realize now with trading Forex, everything dropped heavily, but I was paper trading, practicing, much learned over the past 2 months. Great. Super important to be ahead of the curve with this one. I appreciate that as well. So many good thoughts and sentiments here, guys. Again, I apologize for my kind of raspy focus here. Cool. I'm just going to skip to the end. I don't want to keep chatting too much. I want to make sure I have a voice for tomorrow and go from there. So I apologize. I will be back tomorrow, though. I will be back every day unless something takes us offline. Okay, let's see. Any more great thoughts? No, we'll leave it at that. Remember to smash those thumbs up, guys. I really appreciate all the support. Maybe I'll even be back live tonight. Who gives a shit, right? Might as well just keep chatting with you all. Y'all have a lot of great questions and sentiments. I do apologize to everyone that I was kind of rude with about comparing this to the flu there. No, it's not worth comparing them. It seems very ignorant to me, so it kind of bothers me when people do that. Because scientifically speaking, when you go to the New England Journal of Medicine, the doctors are saying this is fucking 50 times worse than the flu. Anyways, this is T with the Arcane Bear. I am signing off for the rest of the day, sending you all of my love and best wishes, and I will see you guys again on the other side.